Is there anything that could have been done different that maybe would have given him a better chance?
Absolutely. And again, I sit here truly believing his story is how God wrote it.
Yes.
Having said that, are there lessons we can learn from that story and help somebody else? Absolutely. Colon cancer is one of the easiest cancers to treat if diagnosed early. It has very, very good outcomes, but it has to be diagnosed early.
How early is early?
The medical journals and the doctors will say if you have a history, and by history they're referring to if a sibling or a parent has had colon cancer, then you need to be tested at least 10 years before they were diagnosed. So I'll give the example. Mwangi was diagnosed at the age of 47. 47 is pretty young, right? So my daughter needs to have her first colonoscopy at least by the age of 37.
Wow.
Because they say that it takes about that long for it to grow and start to have all those symptoms. We did a health fair, and I'll get into that, but the Parkland colorectal team did a really good job just educating people on the different stages of colon cancer, because it really starts as a polyp. And so if it's just a small polyp and you get a colonoscopy, they're able to clip it off, right? And then at that point, it also says, hey, you are at risk, so we need to manage you. So we have, they can determine, again, depending on what they see from that polyp, how soon you need to have, or how often you need to have your colon cancer screening. And so the biggest lesson here is it is important for us as a community to be aware of where we can get screened, when we can get screened, and how to get screened. The other lesson that I want everybody to hear and hear well is you have to advocate for yourself. Mwangi was good at going in for his physicals. In fact, his last physical, the conversation they had with his PCP was, hey, when you turn 50, we need to do your colonoscopy. Classic Mwangi style. He's like, okay. Well, that gives me 3 years. I'll have decided at that point if I'm going to let you abuse me or not. But that's kind of the relationship he
and the reason they say abuse is because colonoscopies are invasive.
They are very invasive.
Yeah, but they are important. Yeah.
And when I say very invasive, it's not invasive from a medical perspective, but in essence, a colonoscopy is a small robotic camera that is pushed through your behind, right? And it goes taking pictures, but it also has little clips, if you will, kind of like nail clippers. And if it finds something, those polyps, it clips them and it's able to remove them, and they can send them to the lab and study them. So most people, right, the thought of something being introduced to your behind is kind of scary. But when you think about the risks of not doing that, they typically will put you to sleep as they do this procedure, so it's not like you're awake while they're doing it. And the risk of the procedure is very, 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 very low, right? Of the side effects related to colonoscopies are significantly low.
Actually, let me share. Maybe this would be a good time for me to share my own personal experience, because I decided, like you said, it's one of those things people are, should I do it, should I not, should I do it? And being Africans especially, you're like, I don't want anybody back there. But I decided, you know what, let me just get this done, because like we were talking earlier, the cost of not doing it is higher.
Yes.
And for me, they put me to sleep, and this is really just for the benefit of somebody else who may be scared to do it or wondering whether they should do it. They put me to sleep, and they did it, and they did find a polyp, and they cut it off. Fortunately, it came clean. There was no issues. But if I had ignored that, it would be growing. I totally concur. So you said you should be your own greatest advocate.
And the reason you have to be your own advocate, in a case like him, at least his doctor was thinking we need to do this. But by being an advocate, it requires you to do a number of things. The first thing is you have to educate yourself. Research now shows insurance will pay for you to have a colonoscopy even without history at the age of 45. There are people, and I am part of that movement, that's advocating to move colonoscopies to the age of 40.
Yeah, I was going to say it should be at 40.
Because it really needs to be at 40, especially for us black and brown people. So people of African origin, people of Indian origin, people of Hispanic origin. We should really be advocating to get our colonoscopies done at the age of 40. The reason why you have to be your own advocate is if you're equipped with the right information, you can then challenge your physician to say, hey, I know you want to do it at 40, but let's do
at
it
50.
At 50, right? But insurance will pay for it. I am 45. I want to have a colonoscopy. You know what to ask for. Ask for it yourself. The other reason why you have to learn to be an advocate is because, and I'll share this if we have time, about what my experience was when my husband was admitted. And if you don't know what to ask for, unfortunately, I can't guarantee that you'll get it.
That's awesome. We will come back to that because I think you're getting into some interesting territory that you're in the medical field. Cara works in the medical field, so she understands this way better than probably the rest of us who are not in the medical field. But I want us to transition into how you took a tragedy. Something that really turned your world upside down and decided to do something good with it. Tell us about your t-shirt, what you're wearing. I know there are people who are wondering, she's wearing a t-shirt to an interview.
I know, right?
Yeah, but tell us about the JB Mwangi Memorial Foundation.
So, one of the things that Mwangi and I talked about, and I think for him that was kind of like the one thing that kept giving him hope, is he went, if you've seen anybody go through cancer, it's not just traumatic mentally, it is traumatic for your body, and it just really takes a toll on you. The pain is unbearable. So one of the things that he would say is, babe, nikipiga hii kitu, and I'm just saying that because that's exactly how he used to tell me. When I beat this cancer, I want to make sure that people are educated so that nobody ever has to go through the pain that I am going through.
Wow.
And for me, I kind of take that a step further. Like, we lost Mwangi, that's one life too many. And so my prayer for me and my daughter and our friends that have also kind of rallied around us and joined us in this JBM Memorial campaign is to make sure that people are educated, that people get testing, that we get to a point where we can provide free testing so that nobody else has to go through the loss and the pain that my family has been through. So really that is the genesis behind the not-for-profit. You'll hear me refer to it as JBM, which is John Burugu Mwangi Memorial Foundation, named after John.
So you've started a foundation to help people to create an awareness on screening, and you had an event.
Yes.
So tell us, what was the event? How did it go? And what are you planning for the future?
Okay. So to commemorate his 1 year memorial, we wanted to do something that impacted the community, and we wanted to do something big so that it wasn't just my friends who've had me preach this message about getting tested. We wanted that message to start to get out to the Kenyan community, to the Hispanic community, to the Dallas community, really, if you will. So what we did on August 28th was host a health fair. This was a very different health fair. The reason it was different was we wanted the impact or the emphasis to be on education. So we brought together different health professionals, if you will, to talk to people about the conditions that they can be looking out for, and talk to people about prevention of their specific field of expertise. We also partnered with Parkland Health System. This is one of the big county hospitals here in Dallas. And we were able to provide free screening. We had Dr. Gaitande, who is colorectal surgeon with the Baylor Health System. He was actually our keynote speaker, and his message was very targeted to us, the African community. And he talked to us about what is colon cancer, what are the stages of colon cancer, how do we get tested, why are we getting colon cancer, right? He talked about the myths around colon cancer. Unfortunately, sometimes we like to make excuses instead of dealing with things. So I've had people say, oh, colon cancer is that's an America problem. The reality of it is it's not an American problem.
No, it's not.
It is an everywhere problem. And people will say, well, because my diet is good, I can get colon cancer. The advantages of early testing and what options are there, because there are more options when it comes to colon cancer screening than the colonoscopy. Well, we all agree that the gold star, the most accurate screening process is a colonoscopy. There are other tests available, and he went through all of that. We had a neurologist talk to us about what are the signs that you should never ignore, right? Headaches. Stroke is another thing that is really affecting our community. So what are the signs of stroke? You know, she talked about migraines and headaches that should not be ignored, and how do you go about doing that? We had a dentist that talked to us about, you know, he screened your mouth just kind of to see, you know, do you need preventative care? What does that look like? But he also talked to us about the connection between your mouth and the rest of your body. There was also a dental hygienist that did a really good job sending or making sure that that message was hitting home, talking to people about why do we need to get our teeth cleaned, and how the bacteria in the mouth gets to the rest of the body, and how that affects you. We had HIV testing. We had, oh my gosh, we had so many experts.
I know. Actually, I remember I was able to even have my blood pressure checked. I mean, it was a really, really useful event, especially if you don't have medical insurance and you needed medical services, at least just, even if not the whole shebang, but somewhere to start. Because I remember one of the things that was offered, because I did get to speak to some of them, is how they can work with you financially.
Yes.
And they didn't, and especially for those of us here in the US, some people are a bit anxious to go to these kinds of institutions because they're not sure if they'll ask for more things, more paperwork, and how they don't ask questions. Their responsibility is to treat you and to help you just get better. And I found that very impressive, because I know that there's so many people who need medical attention and are scared to go and get the help, but the help is actually out there. You just don't know it.
Yeah. And, you know, partnering with Parkland, specifically their community outreach department.
Yes.
They provided the colorectal education I was talking about, and I wish you guys were there. They had this colon, which was an inflatable balloon, but you could walk in and they could walk you through, this is a polyp, this is a healthy colon, this is a colon that has colon cancer, this is colon cancer at stage 4. And it was just a visual to help people learn. We had Parkland Financial Services,
yes,
and they talked to people about how do you get financial help so that you can get the quality of health and the quality of care that you need. We had their patient advocates that really educated people on resources that were available, not just from Parkland, but from the community in general. We had community health. Community health covered everything from getting Medicare and food help, food stamps for those that needed it, all the way to sexual health and being able to get access to family planning solutions if that is something that was of interest. We had a specialist that talked about pediatrics. What types of vaccinations, should your children be having? And is there a recommended way of getting these vaccines, understanding that there are concerns about autism and all of that. We had mental health specialists that talked to us about depression.
Yes.
We had a specialist, and this was near and dear to me, that talked about palliative care.
Yes.
Most people hear of palliative care and they think palliative care is hospice. But really the idea behind palliative care is making sure that you're comfortable and you have access to the resources that you need. In our journey through colon cancer, one of the resources that we were introduced to that was really, really helpful was our palliative care team. They helped with pain management. They helped us get handicapped tags. They helped us get a wheelchair. Granted, some of these things, they just gave us information and we never even got a chance to actually use them. But these were all resources. But when you talk to, especially our Kenyan community, and you tell them about palliative care, I even remember when that was suggested, I kept thinking, manze hapo ndio tumefika.
Yeah.
Meaning this is where we have reached. Yeah. Like you guys you're looking at him like he's going. And they were like, no, there is no indication at this point that we're working with time. We're just trying to give you the resources that can help you deal with the specific phase that you're in. Palliative care is not just for cancer patients, right? People that have long-term pain management could benefit from a palliative care consult. If you have a chronic illness, there are certain services that they can provide. So, we had somebody there. Of course, we had an ER physician that was just there to answer general questions. We had chronic care specialist that was talking about diabetes, hypertension, and the list goes on and on. Like we had all these specialists, but then partner that with Parkland that was doing vision tests. They were doing high blood pressure testing. The thing is, high blood pressure, for example, is a silent killer.
Yes, it is.
My sister-in-law, who was visiting us from Kenya, she had come for her brother's memorial service, didn't know she had hypertension. They came again in support of what was going on. They attended the health fair. It was during that health fair that they said, oh my gosh, your blood pressure is off the roof. And they actually wanted her to go to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
But she had no symptoms. She didn't think she was sick, right? And that's not the only story of what we discovered during that time. So they were doing cholesterol checks. I talked about HIV testing.
The only thing I hope...
So many other tests.
Yeah. The only thing I wished is that it was a full day.
Yeah.
It was a half day, and I just felt there was so much offered that there was no way to do it all. And so tell me, coming off of that experience and that health fair, because it was super, super informative. And I think our people, one of the greatest challenges we have is, and as a coach, you know, now I'm also learning and I have seen it, we're so busy running after, you know, financial success or paying the bills, you know, putting food on the table. And we forget that we can't do that if we are not healthy.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we don't, not just sometimes, many times we don't prioritize our health. And I believe that's what JBM Memorial is all about. Putting our health first. Because if you don't have a healthy body, nothing else matters. You know, in making vision boards, we talk about relationships, we talk about health and wellness, we talk about spirituality, and we talk about finances. And while they're all interconnected, none of that will work if health and wellness is not working.
Absolutely.
That is the one area of your life that will hijack the success of everything else. And so as we wrap up, I definitely want to continue this conversation with Carol. Maybe I can ask you, how often do you hope to have the health fair event?
Okay. So JBM Memorial, our ultimate goal, right, is being able to put your health first. So we're really big on wellness. And our wellness extends beyond just your health. We're also looking at what are the things that are affecting your health to help you really be successful. And I'd love to continue that conversation when we start talking about social determinants of health, and how our education affects our quality of life. Where we go to school affects our quality of life. Where we shop affects our quality of life, right? And so I'd love to have that conversation with you probably at a later date. But with JBM Memorial, our ultimate goal is to end up with a hospital that provides free diagnostic screenings for the community. And so as we journey towards that big goal, for this upcoming year, we do plan on having another health fair. But what we also learned during that health fair is people are hungry for information. People want to be educated. So we do have a Facebook space, and in that JBM Facebook page, we will be hosting I call them live pop-ups, where every month we'll have different topics.
Oh, nice.
And so, you know, you log in and we might be talking about prostate cancer, we might be talking about depression, we might be talking about high blood pressure, because at the end of the day, you have to treat the person as a whole.
Yes.
And if one part of your body is not well, then the rest of your body is not well. It's really going to affect that. So you can expect the pop-ups on Facebook.
What's the name of your Facebook? Is it a page?
It's a page.
Okay.
And I'll give you the information. So you
Okay,
can
I'll put it
at the
in the
bottom.
link.
And then we will also be hosting what I'm calling an educational conference. And the vision here is we'll have very targeted topics. We will invite people to register, and you can register for the topics that resonate with you. Because as you had me trying to describe the health fair, there's just so much.
Yeah.
And there might be some information today that might be of interest. And maybe if you're a family your husband can attend some, and then you can attend something different, and then you can discuss and share that information. Take that back to your greater families and just educate them on what you're learning. So that will be the next event that will be coming up probably here in the spring. We will have our annual health fair that we do in August. This time we are looking at having a mammogram bus there, so we can start to test people or screen people for
breast cancer.
As well as just expanding the scope to where it's outside colon cancer. Colon cancer will always be our first and dearest topic that we tackle, but understanding that there's so many other cancers that are affecting our community.
Yes,
so
that is true.
In terms of what you can expect, it's the pop-up lives, the educational conferences, as well as the annual health fair. We hope to have a gala at some point as well, so that we can begin to also raise resources to be able to bring some of these things to the community.
Which brings me to a very important point. Is there any charge for all these things, the health fair, the conference, all the things that you have just described?
Currently, everything we have provided has been free of charge.
Wow.
And our goal, even as we get to the JBM hospital, right, is our goal is to be able to provide that either at a minimal cost, if not free.
Wow.
Because we have to invest in ourselves.
Yes, we do. We do. But that's very noble. So you have taken your pain, and can I say, let me ask, this is my question. Can you say that in this experience of Mwangi going through cancer and losing him, you stepped or stumbled into purpose?
Absolutely. The grief journey is a very personal journey, and
Absolutely.
I don't think, it's interesting you're saying people that I have overcome. I don't feel like I have overcome. Having said that, as I do this JBM work, I feel like I'm living in the space that God is calling me to occupy. Part of what helps me live with Mwangi not being here, Mwangi was a very intentional person. And so I have no doubt in my mind that he accomplished what God called him to do. And so as I do this work, it gives me peace to know that I am making a difference. It gives me peace to know that the work he would have wanted to do himself is being done. And it also gives me peace knowing that by our little effort, hopefully we can make a difference in somebody else's life so that they never have to go through the pain that Estelle, John, and I went through.
Thank you so much for sharing this story. It's you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable. Carol is a very private person, if you know her, and for her to agree to just share her life and her pain and her experience has not been easy. Mwangi has been gone a little over a year, and so a lot of areas of her life are still very raw. But this is that much important for her and for her daughter Estelle, that they don't want to waste any time trying to get word out there that please put your health first. And she and with a great team that she works with have come together to make this happen. Folks, I don't even have the words. I feel like I was a student sitting at the feet of Carol. I have learned so much. You might think I even knew all this. I knew some of it, but not to the depth. And I think it's important that we continue with this conversation. I especially want to do the conversation on the kind of services we need to be aware of so that we can know what to ask for. And you're a wealth of knowledge, so I'm looking forward to doing another show with you. But for now, I'm going to end it there. And if this journey has inspired you or has allowed you to just introspect, maybe in your own experiences, I don't know what you've been through, but I want you to know one thing, that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. You may not feel like a victor. In fact, Carol doesn't feel like more than a conqueror. But I can tell you, as one look from out looking in, I cannot help but look at this woman of God with awe. And we need to begin to celebrate our own, and we need to begin to celebrate even our own small. Can I talk to you?
Of course.
Your name is?
JBM.
And what do you think of this event?
Oh, the best.
Yeah.
Awareness for people, especially the keynote. The doctor just broke it down in understandable terms. So the take-home message, go get tested if you're over 45. Don't just go. Make an appointment, get tested, colonoscopy specifically, and then our community, they need to come out and see all of this wonderful information available to them that most times is not available to us in the community.